Welcome to the Fantasy Football Clown Show. I'm your host, the Fantasy Clown, along with the real Brad Smith. Brad, welcome back.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
I'm coming today with no video. I guess the video is down. I know we had some audio technical difficulties the last couple of weeks, so my apologies for that. You were away cruising.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good time, but I'm happy to get back into the fantasy football world.
I took care of some of your teams and at least one on a site that I don't usually play on. I think I got you 2 wins in a league um, that you have on Yahoo.
Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty nice. I haven't been winning in that league very much.
Well, now I think you're back on track, and now you should be able to go get that team to the playoffs. I think. I don't know. I looked ahead at your schedule, and I think you've got some chances to really get some wins. And that's a team that has defenses and kickers, and I think the Chargers defense the rest of the way is a pretty good place to be.
Yeah.
They tend to be doing some work here with the turnover ratio. I think they are one of the better teams in the turnover ratio in the NFL. So, team definitely to hang on to defensively. And so good luck with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and kind of get started about what's going on week 9 in the Clownhead community. The first thing that we'll take a look at is the DraftKings tournament that we did. We had a couple less people this week as opposed to last week. I was able to take first place again 2 weeks in a row, 154.02. I think each week I injure the quarterbacks. So whoever I started quarterback last week, it was Jordan Love, and he got hurt. And this week it was Dak Prescott was my quarterback. And then I had Bijan Robinson, Chase Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Coker, Parker Washington, AJ Barner, Saquon Barkley in the flex. And those aforementioned Chargers defense was my defense, and that got a 154.02. And then W. O'Brien 93 had a 148.42 to be in the money as well. So congratulations to W. O'Brien. Want to encourage everybody to jump in DraftKings this week. Main slate, week 10, $10. I got 2 in a row. It's time for me to start losing. So I'm sure I'll lose some money this week, in DraftKings. Looking at the survivor pool, we started out 48 entries week 5. That was our second survivor pool. And now this week we're down to 8 players after week 9. So we went down from 11 players to 8. Philip Rupert took the Saints. Go Bills took the Saints. And Rick Toe Cruz took the Saints. So I guess they were part of the Saints firing the coach, and they're all eliminated. As far as the winning entrance, so the 8 players that are still left, we had 3 take the Eagles, 2 take the Bills, 1 with the Ravens, 1 with the Vikings, 1 with the Bengals. I'm not sure who I would have even taken this week. I've kind of left off the, who I would take at this point, but want to wish those 8 people, much success as we move forward. Taking a look at our redrafts that we have in the Clownheads. Before I jump into that, Brad, what did you miss now that you kind of returned? And did you feel like you missed anything, or is everything kind of the same way as you left it? I know you didn't have very much internet service while you were gone for 10 days.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what I missed yet.
Okay. So you're about to find out here as we go through some of the players that did well. Chase Brown took over at the Bell Cow in Cincinnati. So, that's one thing that's maybe different in the last 10 days, for sure. Just dynamite there. And kind of interesting, there was only 2 running backs that got carries in Cincinnati so far this year, Chase Brown and Zach Moss, and now Zach Moss is done for the season. So, bringing in Khalil Herbert, still they only have 2 people that had carries this year. So nobody else had a carry from the running back position for them. So it's interesting, how much work, Chase Brown will get, I guess. As far as the redrafts, just who was on top, we'll start with the best balls. Clownhead A, which is a best ball with trades and waiver ads. King Khan 34 with a 315.45. And just to take a peek here at the weeks before, it looks like this is the first time in this league that he's gotten the top score. And then in best ball 2B, Astrodog 777 with a 323.56. He has been in the top spot back in week 1, also week 7, and then now again in week 9. So third time out of 9 weeks that he's been in that top spot. The 2 redrafts that we have that are just regular redraft 1, Nick Merkel 4 with a 300.90, and he runs it back. He was the top scorer last week in week 8 as well. And then Kentucky Bengal with a 314.62. That's the first time Kentucky Bengal's been in the top spot. So, those scores look a little bit lower this week though than last week. So last week we had a little bit higher scores. So kind of something interesting to take note of. And when we look at the players that are on those top scores, let's look at Clownhead 1 through 5. Clownhead 1, Malahames 287.08. Malahames was in the top spot last week as well, but so back to back. Clownhead 2, Jack Powers with a 325.80. That's actually the top scoring getter from 1 to 5. And Jack Powers, he won a couple of years ago overall, but this is the first time in the top spot this year in Clownhead 2. Clownhead 3, D Hart with a 302.37. First time D Hart's been the top spot in this particular league this year. Clownhead 4, the Draft Guru, 285.35. Looks like this is the first time the Draft Guru has been in the top spot in Clownhead 4. Clownhead 5 is actually me, Fantasy Clown, 290.46. And my first time in the top spot in Clownhead 5. Looks like you were the top spot a couple of weeks ago, Brad, right before you went away on vacation. Do you have Clownhead 2, Jack Powers pulled up?
Yep.
Let's take a look at what do you see on this team being that top spot?
I mean, right from the start, Josh Allen, Stafford, Aaron Jones, and Kamara. It's a great start for a win now team. It looks like he had DeAndre Hopkins, who went off this week. Kelsey, Hunter Henry, TJ Hawkinson, all solid tight ends. I'm guessing Hawkinson's going to be added in the mix even more as we go on here now.
Yeah, and Kelsey's really back to doing Kelsey-like things this week. He really had a coming out party this week. Really look back to the normal Kelsey type of thing. So
And then,
I think
you what?
I'm surprised we don't see any Cade Otton on this team, but Cade Otton's been coming out of nowhere, been a top tight end the last couple of weeks. He's sort of the top 5 tight end every week. Now, he's an every week starter in most people's lineups. So I'm surprised we don't see him here, but I'm sure we'll see him before we're done looking at teams tonight. Clownhead 6, the Cammer 290.67. The Cammer was actually the top scorer in week 1 and week 7, and now again in week 9. Clownhead 7, Magaido 298.98, and Magaido was the top scorer. Ready for this? Week 1, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6 was the top overall. Week 7, the top overall, and now back again in week 9. So just a freaking great team with Magaido. Clownhead 8, Redneck 88, 307.06. And looking back, it looks like Redneck was our top scorer in week 1, in week 2 overall, and then returned to be the top scorer overall again last week in week 8, and now just back in the mix in week 9, top in this division, Clownhead 8. Clownhead 9, Psalms 3303, 357.74. And he's our top scorer overall. And if we look back, top scorer overall in week 3, week 4, and now again in week 9.
357.
And then,
That's a big score.
yeah, big score this week, especially. Like we don't see this score at all. And Cloudhead 10, Cellar Dweller 274.06. And looking back, Cellar Dweller was our top scorer last week as well as this week. Yeah, let's take a look at Psalm's team. I'm sure he's got to have Kate Otten in there. It's got to be full of Kate Otten.
He doesn't.
Well, Travis Kelce had a day as well. Derrick Henry had a day.
Saquon, Tyreek Hill, Devonta Smith, Hurts, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, he's got a real solid team, even without Kate Otten. He's got Chubb, Mostert, Sutton on the bench.
Well, and these guys may have started. I see Geno Smith was there. Dak was probably playing for him last week. Yeah, he had some points last week too. Yeah. So those are, that is probably what led him to, that top scorer. So good luck, Psalm. We'll see how things, really go. After week 10, we're going to really start to dive in next week and kind of go with the top scorers in each one. We'll try to pull up, we'll have a little bit more in the prop line of, we'll be able to see some trying to take a look at the playoff brackets of where people stand and who's in what, so that we have a good feel for, who's out to a strong start. Looking at the Elite Eight, this is a 96 team league, 3rd year in existence. The before mentioned Psalm 3303 in Division A was our top scorer, 279.67. Looking back, the first time this year that he's in the top spot. So must have like kind of a similar team, but doesn't have the same scoring that he did in that last team. Division B, Kodiak Snacks, 286.34. Looks like Kodiak Snacks was the top scorer week 1, week 2, then week 8 and week 9. So kind of running it back there. Division C, the Draft Guru. That's your division, Brad. 279.64. Do you feel like he has a good team, the Draft Guru?
It's definitely a win now team.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like back in week 1, he was the top in the whole Elite Eight, but that was the last time, he was in that top spot for the division. Division D, T Tanner 7 with a 270.95. Looks like T Tanner 7 was our top scorer last week in this division, so running it back. Division E, M Stu 17, 294.22 is our top overall. It is looks like the first time that M Stu is in the top spot here. This is the division, though, the top scorer came out of last week with D Hard. So looks like back-to-back top scorers, just different players. So a real challenging division. Division F, Matt DeFalco, 285.52. Looking back, looks like week 3, Matt DeFalco was the top scorer. And then Division G, Top Flight Hooker, 257.23. This is the first time Top Flight Hooker gets into the top spot here in Division G. And then Division H, former champion 2 years ago, Cowboys and Utes, 284.82. Looks like in week 1, he was a top scorer, but hasn't been back since that week 1 top. Let's take a look at Division E, M Stu, and see what we see there as far as the quality team. Oh, you can see it already. Look at those receivers.
Yeah, and I mean, his QBs, Burrow and Darnold, have been playing well as well. He's got Chuba Hubbard, J.K. Dobbins down here. He's got Herbert on the bench. JSN on bye now, but he probably had him in last week.
And he did really well as well.
Yeah.
Really strong. Really strong. Yeah, looks like a good team. Good luck, M. Stu, with your team and coming out of that division. 2 teams coming out of there is going to be a challenge for sure. Looks like Miralis was also a top scorer in all of Elite Eight coming out of the division. So looks like a lot of solid teams, there with big scores. So it's going to be a challenge to the finish. Looking at the Big 8 and what we have there. It's like I didn't get quite my things together, but with Division S, Wadata 21, 331.16. Wadata really had a strong team week 1, week 2, week 3. And then week 7, week 8, week 9, it's kind of like all strings in a row for the top spot. Division T, Captain Curl, 327.47. Looking back, week 1, week 4, the top overall in week 7, and now week 9. So, really strong team there. Division U, Jay Mule, 333.05. First time Jay Mule's been in the top spot this year. Division V, Danny Nichols, 328.44. This is Danny Nichols' first time in the top spot as well in this league. Division W, our top scorer, Philip Rupert, 339.37. Looking back, Philip Rupert, though, was the top scorer in week 4, in week 8, and now the top scorer overall in week 9. Division X, Johnny Ross, 23, with a 294.69. It's Johnny's first time here in the top spot this year in this league, but he was one of our original Final Four people in the Elite Eight our first year, so been a champion before. Division Y, CH87, 288.04. And looking back, he was our top scorer in the whole Big Eight in week 2, top in the division week 3, week 4, and now back in week 9. And then Division Z, Mr. Shy Guy, 327.87. Looks like Mr. Shy Guy was our top scorer in week 3, as well as now week 9. Let's take a look at Division W, Philip Rupert and his team.
Here's your Kate Otten.
There's Kate Otten, and I think he put up a 60 spot last week. Like, it was freaking crazy numbers. It was a big number, and there it is. That's what I figured. And he's got 3 quarterbacks. I mean, Purdy was on bye, but last week. But yeah, great team.
This is real solid. Kelsey had a big week. Kamara was good, and obviously, Hunt's been decent. He had Kenneth Walker last week, I'm sure.
And
Jackson.
Yeah.
And then he could slide in Pittman if he needs to. Zach Ertz, he's got CMC coming back. This team is going to be hard to beat here down the stretch, I think.
Yeah, I think we're going to be talking about Philip Rupert here coming up in our posts each week. I agree with that. How are your teams doing in both of these divisions in the big leagues, Brad?
Well, in the Big 8, I have Otten, but I think I still took a loss last week. So you tell me.
I gotcha. So I'm kind of in a rebuild, and I decided I traded away Kate Otten in both of my 96 team leagues this week. So I got some first round picks and some stuff. I feel like I got some stuff on both of them, and so not saying I wouldn't buy him back someday, but yeah, I thought this was the time to kind of unload it for now. And if I couldn't win this year, I thought this was probably the time to unload him.
Yeah, I would think so. I think he'll come back down to earth when the receivers come back.
And I think it'll be a little bit less target crazy once Mike Evans comes back, and then once Godwin comes back next year, it'll be a whole new team. You know what I mean? And then it's back to more of a normal situation, and that's what I would be using him for. And I'm not saying I wouldn't, buy him for less, at some point, but I think there'll be an opportunity to have some Kate Otten shares at that time. But it definitely served me well. Having, a bunch of Kate Ottens got me several first round picks and several other things to maneuver to get more first round picks. In my math, I probably was able to get between 2 and 3 first round picks for Otten in both cases, once I make a couple additional trades with the players I got back. So, really trying to get, capitalize it, figure it's got to be in a spot for a Bowers type player or a Pitts type player. So, I did put myself in a position, for those types of guys. So I felt like that was a good thing. Well, that's week 9 in the books. Week 10, we'll try to come back with a little bit better production next week and really get you guys informed on the playoff, on some of the things we have going on. Want to just kind of reiterate, jump in DraftKings. That's pretty exciting, $10. And, hopefully as we go, we'll also kick off some of the things we have going on next year, 2025 in the forefront here. We can see it. So we'll get started with that a little bit early, kick off some of what we're going to do, and real excited for some of the enhancements to the community. But for now, he's Brad. I'm the Fantasy Clown. So long.